Hi, my name is Kevin Crosby. I'm on the steering committee of Y.E.C.A. I'm also the sustainability coordinator at Taylor University in Upland, Indiana. When I was young, I was very concerned about the environment. I was your stereotypical 6-year-old tree hugger, if you will, literally. I would always cry when my parents cut down trees in the backyard. But as I grew up, I kind of drifted away from that. And when I came to Taylor University as a student, I really engaged with my faith on a personal level much more. And the issues that became important to me were really loving my neighbor issues, justice issues. And so that's really what I began to feel passionate about. But then as I learned more through my engineering studies and environmental science studies, I came to understand that some of the largest struggles that we face in the world today are environmental struggles. And really, when the land isn't healthy, people aren't healthy. And I just took it on as my calling to be that person that's going to care for the land, whether that's directly or indirectly, for the sake of loving my neighbor as a Christian and allowing them to enjoy this wonderful world that God has created. So within that, climate change is probably the largest environmental issue, one of the largest social global issues that we face today. And so that's just the obvious choice, understanding the science behind that is something that we need to engage in as Christians. Here at Taylor, we try to be good stewards of our resources, our financial resources, our environmental resources, and also our human resources that we have here. So a lot of those energy efficiency projects allow us to save money and then also reduce our emissions here at Taylor. And so we're building on that. We'll also do a lot of things like recycling, which is a huge, easy, important thing that we can do that affects climate a lot, but also other environmental factors. We just try to do a lot of educating with the students because that's really the biggest impact that we can have. In my personal life, my wife and I try to do the best we can at home. We compost, we pretty much have all the lights up all the time. We turn our thermostat really far down. We have a fairly well insulated house. I ride my bike to work pretty much every day despite the weather. So we do a lot of little things like that, but we also try to be vocal about our views on this. Really that being a Christian, we are trying to do our best to love our neighbors, and this is a huge way that we can do that by doing our best to mitigate climate change and to talk to our political and religious leaders and ask that they do the same. Living and growing up in the United States, and this is probably true many places in the world, we live in a fallen, sinful world. I often get very discouraged at the selfishness of our society, whether it's consumerism or whatever the particular issue is that you want to talk about. The question often is, what can politics do for us? What can the church do for us? And climate change is one of these issues that, sure, it can be selfish, especially for this young generation. We want to live, 50 years from now in a world that's habitable and is somewhat like we know it today, that the coast lines aren't receding, that crops aren't failing. But really, for me, my prayer for Christian leaders and political leaders alike is especially those that proclaim to have a Christian faith, that they really think beyond that. This is a global issue, and if we really want to love our neighbor, there are some consequences of our actions, of the pollution that we've put into the environment. We need to take steps to mitigate that and reverse that, no matter what the cost. Lowe, the spokesperson and head of Y.E.C.A, came to speak here at Taylor University tonight to several of our students who were gathered here and some of our faculty, and I was just so excited. I was jazzed, if you will, by what Ben had to say. This is just something that our generation needs to hear. And so many people are on the fence on the issue, or they grew up thinking one thing, but when they're presented with the facts and the gospel is brought into it, people understand how this is part of our Christian witness to speak out on these issues of climate and to become a climate activist. I just got so excited by that, and I'm really excited about the great work that all the others in Y.E.C.A are doing. I think that it's going to have a huge impact in the years to come.